Welcome to Open Marketing. Today we're talking about creating hooks. Now, this is important because, as you've heard me say before, video is king. If you are not creating video content, I would suggest that you start, whether it's with a selfie video, whether you have a camera and you use it, but you want to make sure that you're showing up on video because honestly, that's one of the ways people are able to validate that you're actually real, because that's pretty important. You want people to think you're real right before they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars with you on their biggest investment in life. So make sure that you're showing up on video in some way. And if you're somebody that, let's say, you don't want to do the consistent thing of, selfie videos and all that type of stuff, hire a videographer one time, have them record you professionally. So that way you just let those videos sit up there, because that's what I do. If you're interested and you're just like, I don't want to keep doing all this, but you need to show up on video so people trust, know, and like you and all that type of stuff with actionable trust, hire a videographer. Now, what we're talking about today is really for the real estate agents that want to improve their reels, want to improve their long form content, and you want to create hooks. Now, let's talk about what a hook is first. Okay. Now, a hook is essentially words sequenced together that grab people's attention, okay? Because at the end of the day, you have a 3-second window. You have a 3-second window from the moment somebody, if we're talking about Instagram or TikTok or any short form content, you have 3 seconds to really capture somebody's attention, okay? And the way in which you do that, number one, when you're creating good hooks, use the word you, okay? Use the word you. Now, what does this look like, right? Use an example. Let's say, for example, you're looking at this video and, this is a short form you swipe by. What are you more likely to stop at, right? Here we go. I want to tell you about 5 things that I've learned in my time as a real estate agent that would truly help you as a first-time home buyer. And seen, is that actually going to really grab your attention, right? Versus, you should know about 3 things that you need to know as a home buyer, because you need to understand that when you're first buying a home, it's the biggest investment ever. So here are 3 things that'll help you. And seen, which one is actually going to more than likely grab your attention? Probably the second one, right? And the difference between the two is because I started with you instead of I. Because the thing about content creation, it's not about you. It's about the audience. It's about the listener. It's about the viewer. When you are creating content that is valuable, it's all catered to your potential client. So in order to hook them, you want to say things like, you should hear about, you'd be interested to know, you should know, you should know, all these different things. When you are, again, very you-based in your hooks, that will allow you to grab people's attention. And then once you grab their attention, now you're giving them the value that they know that they need. And from there, you have them. But you want to make sure that you have a good hook. You want to make sure that you have something that gets their attention. And that's why, again, I say this all the time. I know I said this about maybe 2 months ago. You want to make sure that you're very clear on your potential prospects, your potential clients. Make sure you're clear about their problems. Because if you're talking to somebody that, let's say, wants to own a house but doesn't have the money for it, and you're just saying, I want to talk about 3 things that'll help first-time home buyers, or even if you say you should know this as a first-time home buyer, that's not really going to hook the person that has money problems or is worried about money when it comes to buying a home. The hook for that person would be, you should know about 3 ways to buy a house with no money. Like, that type of hook for the person that's dealing with that type of problem, that type of pain point, is probably going to get them to say, let me check this out. Right? So when you think about, just as you're creating hooks in your short form video, make sure that it's very you-based, but also make sure that it's very specific. And honestly, the powerful thing about being specific in your content is that it allows you to have more content for later. Because there's a difference, for example, with a buyer, let's say, that has no money, right? So there's content for that person, right? That hook is, if you have no money and you want to buy a house, here's 3 things you need to know, right? That's the buyer that has no money. If you have the buyer that, let's say, has money but doesn't know what to do with it, that hook may be, if you have a lot of money and you want to invest in real estate, here's what you do, right? Again, that's more content that you're able to create, but it's really just helps by being specific. So if you're a real estate agent and you're like, well, I don't even know what content to create or how to come up with ideas, be specific. That's really a great way to start. And I tell all my clients this because you are my client right now, even showing up for this. Be specific in what you're talking about, so that way you're able to solve more specific problems and you'll build that actionable trust that you've heard me talk about. Okay. So when you're creating content, or I should say creating hooks for short form content, make sure that it's very you-based, but also make sure that it is very specific, because at the end of the day, it's a numbers game, right? If you're able to get one client, that one client can take care of your entire month, depending on the types of homes you sell, right? So be specific, because people are really going to connect with you based off of that. Now, what I want to also talk about and share, which most people I don't think talk about this enough, is the fact you also want to create hooks in your long form content as well that can be clips. Okay, so what does this look? What does that even mean? What does that even look like? If you have a long form content type of machine, whether it be a podcast, whether it be a YouTube video, whether it be just whatever it may be, you want to make sure that you are communicating in terms of the words that you're sequencing, in terms of the tone of your voice, that you are saying whatever statements, whatever sentences in a way that can be clipped. Trust me, you will give your editor a layup of a job if you communicate in a way where it's easy to be clipped. Because if you say a lot of profound things, but you don't say them in a profound way, people are not going to connect with you. Now listen to see how I just said that. Because I could have said, if you say a bunch of profound things in a profound way, then no one's really going to connect with you. If you were scrolling on Instagram, would you stop if I said that? Versus me saying, if you have something profound to say, you want to make sure you say it in a profound way. Which one are you more than likely going to connect with, right? So that's what I mean. When you're talking about long form content, you want to make sure that your long form content, that you're presenting the information in a way that people will also connect with. So that way, when you actually hire the editor, or if you're doing your own edits, you're able to easily pick up and chop and trim the clip. So that way the clip doesn't sound awkward. Because I can tell you, as I've been video editing now for almost 5 years, there is nothing worse. I can tell you right, there is nothing worse than when I have to try to clip something and the person's tone of voice or their words are off because they didn't say the succinct message in a way that was actually clippable, because that's a hook. Because at the end of the day, with your long form content, if you're on a podcast or you have a YouTube video where you're fully explaining something, you want to make sure that you have something that brings them to your expertise. And that's why you want a really good hook. That's why you want to be able to create really good hooks that can be clips, so that way people can connect with you. Because right now, short form is really how most people consume content, because people are always on the next thing. Like we are getting hit with over, I believe the number is 30,000 messages every single day. So you need to make sure that you're standing out. And I can tell you, your 30-minute podcast, your hour-long podcast, you're going to need clips, so that way people can actually know what you're doing, and actually they'll see the quality in which you're doing it. But you do that by training yourself to be able to speak in a way where you're speaking in hooks. You're speaking in hooks. Like your long form content is where I'm speaking to you in a way that if I were to clip this piece, it could stand on its own. And that's a skill. Let me be very clear. It is a skill. It took me some time to get it myself. If I wanted to clip this, I'd be able to do a great and easy job, because I make sure every single thing that I know that can be valuable to you, I end on a down note. I make sure that every single thing that I say to you, I make sure and I think about the tone of voice in which I say it. I make sure, like a funny example, but I think he's a genius at this, if you listen to hip hop and rap. I think Rick Ross is a perfect example of this. And he's super unique about the way in which he talks and the way in which he speaks. Like his speech pattern and the tone of his voice when he's making different types of points, whatever his point may be, it just stands out. It just makes you want to pay attention. And it's unique to him. And so with that, I ask you, in what way can you speak? In what way can you put words together that's unique to who you are, that allows your person, your potential client, the person that's going to put food on your table for the next month or 2 months, whatever it is? In what way can you put all of that communication effort together so that way you're able to land the deal? Because at the end of the day, with all of this that we're not doing all of this to just be cute on Instagram or be cute on social media. We're doing this because we want to close deals. So I hope that this was helpful to you. So I want you to think about, what hooks can you create this month that will allow your client to know that they are seen, to know that you get them, to know that you deserve their attention for the next hour, for the next 15 seconds, whatever content that you're creating. Okay, they deserve your attention, but you need to make sure that you prove it to them through your hooks. So with that being said, if you know any real estate agents that would benefit from this, if you know any real estate agents that are struggling with their digital marketing, they're frustrated, they don't know what to do, point them in the direction of open marketing. In the same way you have open houses, this is open marketing. I'm giving free gems, a free preview, a free tour of valuable stuff, valuable information, tools, tips, tricks, everything of the sort. So that way you're able to succeed as a real estate agent. All right. So like I said, hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions at all, if you want to get in contact with me, email me at info@10-media.com or just leave me a comment below and I'll reach out to you, and I'll see you guys next month.